I was originally charged for murder, and they didn't drop the murder charge until I think it was like the day of the trial, or So we were going to trial on murder at the start.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I think it was only maybe a day or two, or as the trial was going. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the day of the first trial, and it was changed to manslaughter. So during that time, I'm looking. It was the 25-year decisions that we're making.
Back once again, the incredible, the crew that does it proper, done proper. Beat street.
Welcome to the Fitness for Freedom podcast. I'm Dan Van Setten. I spent over a decade in prison. I've since gone on to study for a law degree. I found sport and fitness crucial to maintaining a positive mindset to get through imprisonment. Join me as I talk to people from all walks of life to hear their story of how sport and exercise has helped them build resilience and overcome adversity. Danny Nedza, I'm grateful to have you here for the second episode of the Fitness for Freedom podcast. I know you spent many years in prison. We first crossed paths around 2015 at Mobilong Prison, where I recall you were constantly involved in sport and exercise. I remember at least one significant discussion with you around 2016 where we talked about what we would do when we were released from prison. And at that time, I thought of you as being a person with an extremely strong drive to achieve. This is the first opportunity we've had to catch up since we were both released from prison. And I confess I've had a sneak peek on social media and I've seen some of the things that you've been up to. And from what I see, you've been very busy. You own and operate two businesses. You're now in a serious relationship, but not yet married. You have recently had a son. And relevant to the theme of this podcast, you've somehow continued to have significant involvement in a raft of sports, including soccer, boxing, and high-intensity interval training.
Yeah.
We'll start, mate, by discussing your imprisonment and then your involvement in sport and exercise in prison. And then we'll chat about your release from prison and how sport and exercise has contributed to your life beyond prison. So I'm really looking forward to this discussion, mate. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So with your imprisonment, how old were you when you first went to prison?
I turned 23 or 24.
And I understand you have been to prison twice, but it was for the one incident.
Yeah, so I've been in prison twice, both for the same incident. One was the first initial, then being released out on home detention, and then going back into prison was the second time.
The first time was no doubt after the incident occurred.
Yeah.
How did that pan out? Were you arrested immediately at the incident or after the incident, or was there some other circumstance?
The incident had happened, and then we were aware that something was not quite right at the time. Police had been looking for me, so me being young and obviously not wanting to get caught by police, I sort of ducked and weaving for a little bit as best I could. Spoke to the lawyer got in contact and, made arrangements to go hand myself in appropriately, you know what I mean? So no one's doors got kicked in.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And so you've handed yourself in and you weren't given bail.
Yeah, no bail. No.
Before handing yourself in, did you think you would get bail or did you think you were going to go to prison?
I knew the seriousness of the charge, which was, if it was prior to anything else, the seriousness, we knew that there was going to be imprisonment involved. Like whatever the case may be, until it was resolved, we knew there was going to be imprisonment.
Did you do anything to prepare?
I did actually, while evading, not evading, but while keeping steer of getting arrested, I just arranged my finances best I could. It was only 24 hours, I reckon, or something like that. So I arranged whatever I could as best I could. Told the ones that needed to know, like, look, this is probably the last time I'm going to see you for a little bit. Yeah, small things, I guess.
Not much time to prepare. Then
that's right.
You actually don't really know what you're preparing for.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Before you arrived at prison, Had you had any idea what prison was like?
Rough ideas, like, I'd been to the visiting room and visited a couple of friends that had been in jail at the time or prior to the time. A couple of friends that I knew had been in jail. So a rough idea, but I don't think anything prepares you for what it's actually like in jail.
No, that's right.
It's a shock to the system no matter what happens. So.
What prison did you end up in, your first prison?
Obviously, the first initial one was just City Watch House, which is the basic 14 days, City Watch House. As soon as we moved out of there, it was Yatala. We ended up going to Yatala Labour Prison.
Yatala, it's one of those old school prisons, high stone walls,
Every
razor wire.
every time I drive past it now, I think like what a different world in there.
I think it's over 100 years old.
Yeah,
the B Division building.
yeah.
You really know you're in a prison.
In jail, yeah.
Yeah, driving past, I guess, you probably feel the same as me. You realise, in B Division, there's like 300 guys sitting in that building every night.
Every night, and been there for years. Yeah, and you just think, like, they're confined to that,
The wing. You can picture the wing.
Yeah.
You know what people are doing. They're walking laps in the wing.
Yeah. It's definitely different.
Do you remember arriving at prison that day?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I remember the overalls, the induction, the whole induction part. So, yeah, the induction part and the whole breaking the ice. Yeah, I remember it all, yeah.
Can you run us through that process from the time you got off the van?
Yeah. But obviously, so I was in the watch house for 14 days. Once it was settled that, I'm getting remanded until next trial date or whatever, moved me to Yatala, coming in the courts. Obviously, being a bit younger, being around the sort of scene that, a few of your friends had been to jail and this and that. Mine was quite like, I got off the bus and loading in the waiting zone and, seeing a couple of people that I'd known about to go to court or something like that. So it wasn't like, I was completely fresh to there, like never know nothing about it. So it was a bit better that knowing someone was there or something, or people were in the same place. As much as you don't want someone to be in jail, knowing that some of your friends or some people are there, it's comforting to you,
It is some familiarity somewhere.
Like that, like what I said, like not wanting people to go through a hard time, but knowing that someone's in that position with you is comforting to the soul as well. Like, it's weird.
Yeah, that's right. You don't wish anyone to be there.
Yeah.
But if they're there, then it makes
You're
things easier.
yeah. You're loving it.
And they would think the same.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Well, you know what? Yeah. Well, one thing you learn for all the years in jail is it doesn't matter where you are, as long as the company that you're with is good. And it took me a little bit to learn that, but as long as the company's good, you can be in the worst place in the world.
Do you remember your first cellmate?
Yeah, I do, yeah. It was a shocker.
Your first cell?
B Lower East, induction unit at the time. First cell, closest to the phone, closest to the barriers, yeah. And I had my first cellie was someone that had been in and out of jail like multiple times, but not like a trainer, like, one that kept his head down and, he liked to, probably get on the drugs and, it was a bit rough around
sit in the cell.
Yeah.
Did you think that that was prison, or did you realise that prison got easier as you went through the prison system?
I thought to how the fuck people doing this? Like, this is hell. Yeah.
It is. When you go to B Division, especially bottom floor, it's and you think this is prison.
Yeah.
You think you're really in jail and this is what it's like.
Mate, jail hits you in the face, man, straight away, doesn't it?
But it obviously gets a little bit easier as time goes.
Of course. Even with time, the place you're at gets easier.
Through that first experience in jail, was there anything else that stuck out to you that you hadn't expected? Just the shock of transformation from one world to the next, you know what I mean? Like I didn't think it would be such a shock. What was shocking? Being everything stripped of everything, taken away, everything, rights, discussions, anything. Like you cannot, not free-willed, you know what I mean? The only thing you can probably do is probably go to the toilet during the time that you're there and in your cell at any given time. Other than that, you're limited to what you can do. What about the clothes?
Clothes were shocking.
Shocking,
Yeah.
like secondhand.
Doesn't fit. Baggy, one colour.
You're dehumanized so much.
Yeah.
You know, you're reduced to just like, you really feel like you're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
That's how they're treating you. You know, you might not
You don't feel like
yeah.
a human, that's for sure.
No.
Yeah.
The routine.
Yeah. Well, the first structural there was, I think it's pretty below east is not, I don't think you get yard time once, I think. So yard time once, I think you're out, and the rest of the time's in the wing. So I think you're out twice for both 3 hours a piece or something like that, I reckon it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like 6 hours a day out of your cell.
Yeah.
And half of that might be out in the yard or gym, or maybe an hour and a half out in the yard or
and
gym.
And half in the wing,
Yeah. And then 18 hours in the cell.
Yeah, 18 hours.
And so how long did it take you to get bail?
4 months before I got bailed, home detention. Yeah. Within that time, I sort of moved from B Lower East and moved up to B Middle. And then, I got out released on home D.
That was waiting for trial?
Waiting for trial, yeah.
What was the time that you waited for trial once you got bailed?
I was pretty lucky at the time. So I know a lot of people wait. There was a lot of, even I was getting told it was going to be 18 months, 2 years maybe, whatever. But mine actually mine was actually not too bad. It only took 12 months, maybe 14 months max before we ended up in trial.
Today, it would be a good couple of years minimum.
These days, easy, yeah.
2.5 years maybe.
Yeah.
You're on home D, could you work?
Yeah. I was very lucky because of what I had at the time as well. I was running a couple of businesses. I obviously put them forward, and I was very lucky in my bail condition. Well, home D detention was obviously our GPS following me everywhere. So I was lucky enough to be able to still work. Obviously, slow progress. I started working for someone, then started again doing my own thing again.
And was your pending court constantly on your mind?
Yeah, obviously, yeah. It never lifts. It's always like a weight on your shoulders, yeah.
I'm really interested in talking about the trial process itself.
Yeah.
Not many people go to trial these days.
Yeah.
I think trial would be one of the greatest stresses of the processes involved with criminal justice system itself. How long was your trial?
3 weeks.
Can you explain generally like what a typical day in trial was like?
Meet at the lawyer's office probably first maybe, and then just going in for briefs, just drag. The whole thing the whole process drags with no say, listening to other people talk about your experience or whatever had happened with no real input at the time.
You're sitting there in silence.
Just a sitting duck, yeah.
Watching all these people talking about you.
Yeah. That's my biggest, was watching everyone just speak about something that they,
Your trial, was it a trial by jury?
Yeah, it was, 12 people.
There's a lot of procedure that goes on with court and with jury trials.
People get kicked out. People have to come back in.
Oh, from the jury?
From the jury, one will get dismissed, or they know someone within the jury or something like that. So that process alone is a couple of days.
Were you happy with your jury? Like,
not doing 6 years, so probably not. No, no. Look, hey, each their own. You're supposed to have a jury from there, because you learn a lot going through trial and that. Learn a lot through going through any process. So you're supposed to have a jury to your pure peoples, or what are they called? Peers.
A jury of your peers.
Jury of your peers. I didn't see any 24-year-old up there, or any 24. No disrespect, but older ladies and a lot of older people, more older females than there was young people. Do you know what I mean? Or
people have less awareness of how things are.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so that's the one thing that really stuck out with me is and I still, you've asked me, and I've obviously, that's the first thing that popped up. I always thought that a jury of your peers is at least within the same bracket of some sort. So they, time changes as it moves forward. People adapt. Look at the day and age.
Obviously, your matter had some legal complexities, and that's why you end up in trial. Did your lawyers seem confident at all about the outcome?
Not understanding law and getting told by a lawyer, you sort of feed off them, and that's the advice that they're giving you. So, they were confident on the state of self-defense at the time. So that's what was the understanding of self-defense was spoken to me and told to me. So then I understood it, and I was, saying, they were pretty confident, yeah.
It's a difficult defence. And I remember in the past, there's been self-defence charges which you think, that was self-defence and it should have been self-defence. But in this day and age, there seems to be some sort of bias with people, and they don't fully understand the defence of self-defence and how an instant moment can result in some sort of incident where you're not left with any time to think. You're just reacting in a defensive way to something that's going on.
When we were in jail going through VPP, this discussion was because it's obviously violence prevention.
Yeah.
Discussion was the main thing. And I would ask, what would you do to the instructor? Because obviously they're referring to me, and I would ask, what would you do? They couldn't answer the question. No. There's no right answer. You know, it's an instinctive movement. So
I did a violence program as well, violence prevention program, not the big violence prevention program, but a shorter one.
Yeah.
And the facilitator in that program, I'd been in a number of confrontational incidents prior to prison, and they were recorded. And he said, well, the fact that you are willing to stand there and be in a confrontation is a problem in itself.
Yeah.
And he said, if I was approached by someone who was looking like they were going to attack me, he said, I would run. And
that's the answer.
He said, so, what's the difference between me and you? I would run and you just stand there, but you say standing there and defending yourself is not a problem. And I said, well, I grew up playing football, and football was confrontational sport.
Yeah.
And I'm not scared of an incident to occur. I understand, we shouldn't be, using violence to sort out a problem.
Yeah.
But if you put on the spot at the last minute, then
react instinctively.
And if you played footy, your
you get
instinct
awarded for that.
Yeah, it's not to run. It's to stand there and confront the issue.
So society applauds you for the different situations that you're in. For footy, you're applauded for taking on the challenge, but then you're supposed to demean yourself from not taking on the challenge in a different scenario. How do you pick which one's right or wrong?
With your trial process, there's obviously a lot of stress, sitting there, powerless. A lot of uncertainty about the outcome. How did you deal with that?
Head down and just trying to conquer as much goals as I probably possibly. At that time, I was out on home D, obviously, so trying to set everything up for myself. So when I did come out of jail, if that was the case that was going to happen, then I would be prepared. So obviously, as you know, expect the worst. The saying that a lot of people go by being in jail is expect the worst, hope for the best. So prepare yourself for the worst outcome, but, hope for the best and the same thing. So that's pretty much what I've done. Focus on my work, focus on moving forward and training and trying to keep as positive as I could.
Evidently, you found guilty.
Found guilty.
Found guilty of a lesser offence than what you were charged for?
I was originally charged for murder. Yeah, so originally charged for murder. Then I was found guilty, and they didn't drop the murder charge until I think it was like the day of the trial, or, that we'll go on a trial on murder at the start. And then I think it was only maybe a day or two, or as the trial was going, I'm pretty sure it was the day of the first trial, and it was changed to manslaughter. I was charged for manslaughter and found guilty of manslaughter. So during that time, I'm looking, it was the 25-year decisions that we're making.
25 minimum with a life sentence.
Parole. Yeah, that's right. So life on parole, life sentence, life. So that's the decisions that we're making, and still trying to stay positive in that. Yeah,
that often doesn't happen.
They'll
run with murder and let a jury decide. So a lot of stress, even though there's still a lot of stress remaining. Manslaughter is still a very serious charge. Do you recall the moment the verdict was read out?
Yeah.
What was that like?
Look, at the end of the day, you have to say this, like someone's passed away, which in the police or whatever, someone's got to pay for a life get taken, which I understand that theory behind it, but obviously in the circumstances and stuff like that and what it was, a bit of disappointment. I was disappointed. I spent a bit of money I had to fight what I believed was right, which I was told was right. So, it was disappointment.
Obviously, you walked into court that day from the community, but you exit out the side door, back down the corridors of the district or Supreme Court. into the holding cells,
Yeah.
and then back to prison.
Back-
Which prison did you go back to?
The remand centre. I got locked up and put in remand centre.
And you waited at the remand centre until you were sentenced?
Yeah, I stayed in remand centre for about 4 months.
I guess you got submissions.
Yeah, so that everything 4 weeks. There it goes, bang, 12 weeks. Yeah. Double 4 again, bang, there's 12 weeks, see you later.
When you're on like remand in prison, it's like pretty much a 4 week at a time schedule between court cases.
Everything's the next meeting or next sitting, I reckon, in prison in general.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. You're looking forward for it's only, you don't want to look at the big picture, just looking at the short-term goal, whether it be a goal or something that's outcome at least,
I remember being halfway through the sentence and thinking, I'm halfway through now. I've done half. That was pretty easy. And now I'm on a downhill stretch.
Yeah. Well, I remember someone had done a bit of time, like a fair bit of time, and he just said, he's like just obviously in talks, and he said, doesn't matter if you come in for 2 years, 10 years, or 20 years, everyone goes through that same process. Beginning, the middle, and then there's the end. Do you know what I mean?
No, that's right.
Everyone goes through that. So it might take longer for someone to go through. It might take short, but everyone goes through that process.
Each person's sentence is their own sentence in their own mind.
Exactly right. Yeah.
And a 2 year sentence is just as hard as a 10-year sentence. That's right, because in your mind it's 2 years that you hadn't expected, and you know it's 2 years, and that's the
obviously
end date.
not taking away anything from anyone doing a long stint at all, because it's just, as like you've done a lot of time. You don't wish that upon anyone. So I just wanted to add in as well, just when I got found guilty as well, like, and I was shocked, but then I was shocked as well. But then I looked at the judge at the time for a brief second. She actually put her head down and shook her head as well. Like, she was like, after, cause when you went through my trial, you looked at her and it was all negative about the other person sort of thing. So then but I was only in there for such a brief moment, like this whole trial, I was like sitting there, and I was barely spoken about or whatever, but then, I was only in there for this brief moment. And then,
the judge's hands is tied by the decision of the jury. And judges sometimes don't agree with the decision, but they're powerless to do anything.
That's right. They have to hand it out. So,
And you caught that moment, that slight.
Yeah. It's just one thing that always stuck in my head as well.
What was your sentence?
5.5 years. Already completed the year on Home D 4 months prior. 5.5 years, and then with mine, I was thinking that I was going to get 5.5 years with the smaller bottom, but because of the charge, it's 4/5. It comes under the 4/5 law, so which is you have to spend 4 out of 5 in jail.
4/5 out of your full time in prison.
In prison.
Out of your head sentence.
Out of your head sentence. So, you get 10 years, you have to do 8 years in jail. So I done 5.5. I had to do 4.5 in jail. So I end up doing 4.9, I reckon.
When you got sentenced and the judge sits there and reads the sentencing remarks out, do you recall that moment?
Yeah. Yes, I do in a way. Once I heard the number, I sort of just shied away from anything else that was getting said. The number sticks out. Well, first I go, 25 years is max penalty, and then your heart drops.
They tell you what they could give you.
Yeah, they tell you what they could give you. It's the worst. Like, I remember being as young and having a couple of things, and then they start from the top, and you think, what the hell am I doing? So it's the same thing. Even though you know it's coming, you still get a shock, like a little split second shock, like. And then they build it down slowly, which, and then, I got that. And then, it was, once the number was said, which I knew I was going to get, I just switched off and just looked for my family, obviously, and just took that moment into myself.
So that was what you were expecting?
Told 3, but, obviously, I was thinking anywhere from 3 to 10.
5.5 years. It's a long time. Did you fully grasp what it would be like to sit in prison for 5.5 years?
No way.
Before I went to prison, probably the longest I'd ever planned anything advanced was about 6 months. Might have been a Christmas show, might have been a holiday. 6 month waiting period to go from where I was to what was going to happen.
I was just having this conversation with my mate the other day as well, and I was saying, do you like when you think about jail? I've been out for 5 years now, and even my mate, because me and my friend, we come out at the same time. He'd done 3-4 years, and I think like in the last 5 years, how many I've been out, how many memories or fond memories I have. But then when I think about 6 years prior in jail, 4 or 5 years prior in jail, there's only like a certain amount of numbers that I can actually remember out of that long period.
It doesn't add up, does it, in your head?
Nah,
Like
yeah.
the amount of time's the same, but the amount of experience is,
Yeah.
and memories are way out of proportion.
Way less.
Yeah.
It's just it's just gone, yeah.
As I mentioned, we met in 2015, and we actually lived in the same unit in Mobilong Prison for probably just over a year.
Yeah.
And every time I saw you, you know, you see each other a lot when you're in the same unit, especially. You're always in good spirits.
Yeah.
You're always having a laugh.
Yeah.
You know, things didn't seem to get you at all. I even remember, and tell me if I'm wrong here, mate, double-decker Pavlovas. You were the king of Pavs, mate. You made the infamous double-decker, and they were the best Pavs I've ever had in jail.
Yeah. We used to love our desserts in there. That's one thing we could look forward to.
Mate, to be honest, those Pavs are up there with Pavs that I buy in a shop.
I haven't even seen a Pav since I've been out, I reckon.
Just put them out of your mind.
Yeah.
You know, those Pavs created a lot of happiness for a lot of people in jail, mate.
Yeah.
With, you know, what seems on the outside like easygoing and a lot of having a bit of fun and having a laugh at things. There's obviously some sort of challenges in prison.
Yeah.
There's the adversity of being in prison itself. What did you find difficult about being in prison?
The most difficult, like it's funny to say that, like, and I appreciate you saying that as well, because sometimes, obviously, you know, it wasn't like that. And obviously, the first few times I'd been to jail, I had very, very dark moments, the shock of it, and overcoming that. Like when I got out on home D that time, before I was resentenced, the thing that got me through it was the training. So the only thing I did to keep that positive mind frame was train.
Just exercise.
Exercise.
Yep.
It's the only thing that kept me semi like intact in my mind, and probably that's still to this day, I think.
What do you think the actual issues were in prison?
I like to achieve things, you know. I have this thing in my head that, like, you know, I'm only on this planet once and for a short period of time, and now 5 years have been taken. So how am I gonna, you know, benefit this to get me in front when I get out? You know, so you know, everything getting taken away from me was probably the hardest thing.
I can see that in you, that you're driven and you like achievement.
Yeah.
And so you put in this environment that's absent of any achievement at all. Or appears to be when you first get there, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And then you have to sort of adapt and find your own ways to make that sort of achievement through means that, you know, being creative.
That's right, yeah.
What about the separation from family or friends?
Separation as well, of course, you know, like that was a big thing. I'm out here, well, back in the day, more so before I went to jail, you know, I was young, so social groups was massive, do you know what I mean? Like, I was really close with most of my friends, so getting taken away from them, just like anyone else. Family as well, you know.
The administration.
Yeah.
Would you say it was a well-run, a well-oiled machine, the administration of prisons?
Oh, man, no way in the world. You know what I mean? I don't think they know what they're doing, you know? I don't think A talks to B and B doesn't definitely talk to C, so they got no idea.
No idea at all.
Yeah. And it's funny you say that. It's probably because I was always getting called up for something or getting in trouble for backmouthing or something.
I found the administration just incredibly frustrating.
Yeah.
Like mind-blowingly frustrating.
Yeah.
To me, the administration was the worst part of the prison.
Yeah.
Having to deal with just useless and incompetent people. And it's not to say there wasn't good people there. There was some good, well-abled people.
Yeah.
But there was just a lot of incompetence.
A lot of incompetence and a lot of unknown, not even no structure to what you're doing. Like, you know, like everything was just a guessing game.
In terms of your sentence plan?
Sentence plan, anything. Yep. Like you'd go to ask something and then everyone would know this that's been in prison. Like you'd go to ask something and there would be no actual answer until one day, bang, yep, pack your stuff, you're gone.
You really want some sort of certainty in your plan. You would think it would make sense from a rehabilitative point of view to sit down with a person and say, you've got 5 years.
Yep.
As long as you behave, this is the way things are going to pan out.
Yeah.
This is the programs you need to do. This is when you're going to be doing the programs.
Yep.
And that way you got some sort of structure in your mind.
100%, yeah.
But you're not left like that at all.
Nah.
You don't know if you're getting on a course. You don't know what what prison you're going to be in.
People won't even know until they get on the course, until after their bottom's done and they're getting whacked on the course last minute before they get released, So
to explain that a bit further, what you're saying there for people that might not understand exactly what you said is you're given a non-parole period, and you're giving a head sentence, and your non-parole period might be 5 years, and your head sentence might be 8 years, and you get to your 5 years and apply for parole, and they say, "Oh no, we want you to do a course."
Do a course, yeah.
You've had 5 years to do that course, and they tell you at the 5 year mark that you've got to do a course.
Yeah.
You might wait 6 months to get on the course,
and then not even do it sometimes.
Maybe not do it. It might be, and then it's a 10-month course.
Yeah.
And then you got to wait for the reports to be written after the course.
Yeah.
So you can end up spending 1 to 2 years further
in
than
limbo.
your non-parole period. Yeah, waiting to get out.
Waiting in limbo again, pretty much getting resentenced. That's what that would feel like. You know what I mean? Like the unknown again.
And for no reason, not for behaviour reasons, just purely because of the administration, the way they administer the courses and the way they administer parole.
Well, a lot of people have been done that. Even someone I've just spoken to who's been released not long ago was whacked on a course on his last bit of his, nearly at the end of his sentence.
In that time, you can't organise a house, you can't organise employment. You think that when you get to the end of the sentence, it makes sense to give a person some idea of their release date, and that way they can start organising things in the community and prepare. But the way they do it, I literally got 3 days' notice. So you're getting out Monday on Friday afternoon.
Yeah. Really? Yeah, that's great. Yeah, no worries, thanks.
So
we get a bus ticket.
And mate, you mentioned that you obviously did a lot of training in prison, before prison, and then in prison.
Yeah.
What sort of training were you doing?
Yatla, I was doing a lot of running and boxing. Like, you speak to some guys that would have seen me in Yatla, and I'd be 40-degree heat, and I'd have a bandana on with my headphones in, and I'd just be running in the heat. And then Mobilong, I got into a bit of the CrossFit. I started doing a lot of CrossFit, Tabatas, and 20 seconds on, 30 seconds on, whatever, and weightlifting, anything and everything really. Actually, when Mobilong get into the tennis and squash, I really found them enjoyable as well towards the end of it.
Squash was good in
Squash
Mobilong.
was, it
was actually good having a
really
squash
good,
court in there.
Yeah, that's probably one of the only things that really benefit you do about prison. Not obviously you learn a lot, but you get put into a place where you have to do things that you wouldn't normally. Do you know what I mean? Like I haven't done squash since I've been in jail. Yeah.
You said you did some boxing?
Yeah, I've done a lot of boxing,
with the pads?
Yeah, pads, bag work.
Bag work.
Yeah.
Any sneaky sparring sessions,
Couple
mate?
sneaky sparring sessions. Not in a ring, in a 2x2 cell, 2x3 cell, do you know what I mean? Yeah, wherever we could get it,
Good fun.
Yeah, a couple of Royal Rumbles.
Yeah.
One time we done a whole house on every man for himself, and we just done the whole house.
So you cleared the lounge out in one of the cottages.
Yeah, cleared
it was all on all.
All on all, man. Yeah. So
yeah, that's pretty funny. With the gloves on, of course.
With gloves on, yeah, of course. Yeah, not serious, just a bit of fun, yeah.
You were training before you went to prison?
Yep.
So that mindset, I guess, to train was something you already had. It was
locked
a continuation. Yeah.
Well, yeah, when I came out, like I said, when I came out the first time, the whole shock of everything, the weight on the shoulder, all of that, the isolation part really took a toll on me. Like I really struggled to just bring myself back, and my mental state was not there. And then when I came out, fitness was the only thing that sort of bring it back to normality. Yeah.
Kept you balanced.
Yeah, kept me balanced, yeah.
Kept you focused.
Kept me focused and
helps you sleep at night.
Helps you sleep. It releases, natural endorphins.
How often were you training each day, roughly?
3 times. And there was a point there. So there was one point where in Mobilong, I was stretching. I was waking up early in the morning, have my coffee before everyone get up. I'd go out into the cage and I'd do a 30-minute stretch before the training would start. So yeah,
Ultra fit.
yeah.
There's a lot of guys that get really fit.
Peak performance in there.
I remember you worked in the gym at Mobilong. You were in the gym, whether you were training or working. Just loved the gym.
Yeah, I was even in the gym when I got tipped back a unit once. And they let me keep my job, so I was going back from the shittier unit and sneaking in sessions.
Saying you were working, but doing a session.
Yeah.
Nice work. Wait, what do you think enabled you to keep that commitment of sport and exercise in jail?
Obviously, one thing, the boredom and just that's the one release and one excitement that you have, you know. It's the best time that you got. It was either that or sitting around doing nothing, you know. So.
What do you think the longest time was you had without training in prison?
I trained every day in jail, yeah.
Every day?
Yeah, 100%, yeah. If it was something small or, something was done, yeah.
When were you released?
It's just been 5 years now. We're 20 just turned 24, so yeah, this end of 2019, so yeah.
Do you remember the day that you were released?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
What did you get up to that day, mate? Anything special?
Nah.
Special meal?
Nah, my parents, I love my parents' food, so it was just go home, and obviously I didn't want to get too many, just settle down and just bring myself to normality by myself, you know, first, so yeah, no, nothing really spectacular, to be honest. Nah.
Just focused?
Yeah, just try and bring myself into terms with getting out.
I remember my first day out was just running around hectically, just getting things set up at home.
Sorted. Yeah.
Ready to do the same thing, get it set up, and then I wanted to just keep
So where did you get released from?
I got released from Mobilong.
Oh, Mobilong. Yeah, so I was pre-release centre. So I had sort of organised, had home visits and stuff like that.
So you got a chance, obviously, there to eat different foods. People can bring food into that pre-release jail. Yeah. So the meal was probably not...
The meal wasn't the first thing on my list. I think there was another thing on the top of my list first. That was it.
I actually went to... I got out of Mobilong, went straight to Chinatown.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and to get a chicken and rice.
Oh, yeah?
And...
what, the laksa?
Well, I actually just wanted a Hainanese chicken.
A Hainanese chicken, yeah.
I just constantly on my mind.
Oh, really?
I was craving a Hainanese chicken for years.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What do you think was the best bit then about getting back in the community?
Getting on top of everything, you know. Just going back to trying to finish off what I'd started before I'd been locked up, trying to get back on the bandwagon of trying to accomplish something.
Yeah.
You know, and make something for myself.
5 years is a very long time, you know, by any person's standards.
Yeah.
I've spoken to guys who did 3 years prison, and when they were released, they had difficulties adjusting.
Yeah.
Particularly being in social areas, being on public transport, and they really did seem to have a lot of difficulty.
Yeah.
Did you find any difficulties in adjusting, or?
Little bits. But I guess my mental state was just, you know, same as jail. Like if you don't have many options, you just pick what's there. Do you know what I mean? There's no option on TV. You got one movie. You just pick that movie and you just watch it. You know, and my mindset was like, there's one goal, and there's nothing. You know, that's where I'm heading. So,
just focused.
Yeah, and everything else doesn't matter.
You know, saying that, I found that the options were overwhelming.
Yeah.
In the first couple of days, going into the supermarket.
Yeah.
And you know, just going, oh wow,
yeah,
like, stuff here that
I hate it, to be honest,
mate. So it's been around 5 years since you got out of prison, and a lot's obviously happened since then.
Yeah.
Can you give us an idea of where you're at now in terms of work and family life?
Yeah.
And we'll leave sport out for the moment. We'll get into sport in a moment.
Yeah.
But where you're at now, and what was the path you took from prison to get to where you're at now?
Obviously, put my head down and working and trying to achieve something. So at the moment now, I've owned two businesses of fitness industries. I've owned a BFT, which is a functional franchise. I own Flawless Fitness, which before, when I went to jail, I owned. It was a 24/7 gym. And then I've just done a massive revamp on it and made it a functional center as well. So now we're running classes and doing recovery, and we're heading in that direction, and I'm trying to do that. A bit of clothing, you know, I play around with a bit of clothing as a passion of mine. Concreting.
Concreting as well.
I'm a concreter, so concrete is my bread and butter. That's my everyday. Obviously, the fitness is every day, but concrete is what I'm physically involved in every day. I own pumps as well, so I've got some pumps. I'm doing some concrete pumping, 36-meter boom. Just recently purchased a new line pump. We're trying to hit that. I'm trying to target that industry now. So now what I'm doing is trying to tap into a market where I don't have to do as much hands-on, trying to disperse the work. So I'm still in the process. I'm not a millionaire yet. I'm like, you know, apart from
Working
that,
to it.
I'm working to it. So, you know, I'm work in progress.
Mate, it's a lot going on.
Yeah, that's a lot, yeah.
For one person?
Yeah.
This is an awful lot.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Well, it's not just one person. I've got a great team, to be honest. I've got a great team that stick by me and a great partner. So, yeah. So that's another thing, like partner, strong partner, very intellectual partner. You know, without her, she sort of drives me. I'm the driver, but she has been more very smart and intellectual, so she veers me into the better ways of doing things.
So you make a good team.
Yeah, she'll make a good team.
You're high energy.
She's very high energy.
Oh, she's high energy as well.
She's probably not as much as me. She is high energy sometimes, but I don't think there's anyone that I've met yet that can match my intensity.
No, mate, it's inspiring. Let me tell you.
But she is very high energy.
You've had a son?
Had a son, had a beautiful baby boy, man, yeah.
How old's he now? 2
and a bit years old, Tatum Nedza.
I sort of expected this.
Yeah.
From our conversation, or many conversations in jail, you can see that you're a driven person.
Yeah.
But I guess the obstacle is making that happen, is converting, you know, ideas into reality.
Into reality, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, how did you go about?
I've always gone by the theory of like 99% action, 1% thought, or you know, that's it. Yeah.
Well, it's working.
Well, we're going in a direction. Yeah, we're definitely going.
So a day for you is like up early,
4 a.m. wake up, head to the gym. You know, so it's either run a class, help run a class, but then also join in on the class or do my own workout. You know, from there. So the team of boys that I got now that work for me concreting, I've made it a requirement that there's no what time to the yard, what time to the job. It's 5 a.m. we train. So 4 a.m. everyone gets up. 5 a.m. we train together.
The whole work team.
Yeah, the only one that does it is my dad. Yeah. He rocks up at 6 when we're finished, you know. But yeah, we all rock up there. We train. Better part of most days, you know. We train, and then from there, boys have a shower, quick something to eat, and then bang, we're head off to the site.
You run the gym, or in part of the operation of the gym as well.
Yeah,
concrete and train.
Yeah.
Just making sure I've got all that right, mate. The sports you've been involved in since getting out of jail, what are the main sports you've been involved in?
Well, so I've played soccer. Played soccer for last year was my first year playing soccer for a club. It's always something that I wanted to do again. When I was younger, I played, and then coming out of jail, playing soccer in jail really ignited my want to play soccer again. So I played soccer last year. But when I first got out of jail, I was more so into the boxing. I've done a fair bit of sponsoring, like athletes and stuff like that, a bit of boxers. I used to be friends with a really good, I'm still friends with him, but I was more involved with him, like Eddie Kumi, who's, you know, I think he's been in the Olympics. He's just turned pro. You know, I was involved with his boxing career. Like we flew to Sydney and done some sparring, and, you know, I was getting involved. I was planning to fight, just never completed it.
Didn't go into the fight.
Yeah, still something on the bucket list that I would like to achieve, but I haven't done it yet.
But involved in plenty of sparring?
Plenty of sparring. Plenty of sparring.
Yeah. If you were sparring, you were doing a lot of training.
Yeah.
What was training like for boxing?
Oh, intense.
Yeah.
High intensity.
And mate, what about soccer?
Two different types, both the same outcome, I reckon, you know. You could box as much as you'd want and then go try and play soccer with the same fitness and probably struggle, you know. Short bursts for soccer, you know, sometimes long durations for boxing.
Soccer seems more like a technical sport to me.
Very technical, a lot of always moving, but then high intensity short bursts.
Have you been involved in like high intensity? You said high intensity interval training.
Yeah, I have been. Yeah. So at the moment, I'm with the classes, with the gym. We're actually building our own programs.
Okay.
So me, the manager, with the PTs, we all get together, have our meetings, and we actually structure classes now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those types of classes, high intensity interval training.
Yep, all of them. So high intensity, strength, everything. Yeah.
I picture that type of training really grueling.
It definitely can be. Yeah.
As grueling as boxing?
Yeah, they all have their ups and downs. Yeah. I would get the same feeling that I would get from a high intensity as I would from a hard session. You know, didn't even need, all you needed is a floor, really.
No doubt you've faced some huge adversity, some huge challenges, especially 5.5 years in prison is a huge challenge, and then to get back into the community, run a concreting business, run a gym, make time for your family, for your new son. I think by anyone's standards, you've obviously put a lot of hard work in to overcome these significant challenges involved. Do you think that your participation in sport and exercise has helped overcome the challenges?
100%, yeah, 100%.
In what way would you say?
Structure, discipline, easing the mental state, if that makes sense. Like, be able to train and release the energy that you need to be able to take on the rest of the day calmly, you know, starting the day in a positive note by first doing something hard to then go about your day, like the rest of your day, the rest of your day in a sense of like, I've already achieved something strong. You know, first thing has been the hardest one. Yeah. I've already done something that I didn't want to do and now progressing that into the rest of the day.
Would you say that that's resilience?
Definitely, 100% resilience.
Resilience.
Yeah.
The dictionary definition of resilience is springing back or rebounding.
Yeah.
Another source describes resilience as being the capacity to withstand or recover quickly from adversity, either physically or mentally. And that's pretty much what you've just described.
Yeah.
You described that, you put yourself through this stress early and then the rest of the day is easy.
It's easy, yeah, that's right, yeah.
What do you think it is about sport then and exercise when you put yourself through that helps build that resilience?
Just a sense of achievement, it's achievement and gratitude and all of it. I don't think there's one word. There's so many different things about it, especially if you're doing it with a group of people or, there's all the environment which creates the uplift of emotion, like, being the feeling that you're going to get, that you get to start your day, like if you start your day sad and don't want to do anything, head down, I don't think you can get, it's not going to get any better from there.
That you're conditioning yourself to that type of stress,
100%.
Physical stress, mental stress, and then that conditioning moves through, goes into your work life.
And life in general as well.
And hard things become easy.
Easy, yeah, that's right, yeah.
In the first episode of this series, I was speaking with friend Daniel Chung about his participation in boxing. And really what I learnt from Daniel's experiences is that, from boxing comes high resilience. But there's something really that underlines what gets the person to continue with the boxing all the time. There's something that, really drives a person to make a commitment. What would you think drives you? What keeps you going back to sport and making that commitment to sport rather than doing other things?
Yeah, the want of better for myself, want the most out of life. I want the most out of life. I want the most out of myself. You know, I want to, that's probably the main thing, and longevity as well. You know, staying fit, staying healthy, to be alive, to appreciate as much time as we can.
I often hear people say that they see other people involved in sport and they say, oh, this person's got high levels of motivation. As if motivation's always there.
Yeah, nah.
It's not, is it?
Nah, no way.
What do you think?
Discipline's obviously the main thing that keeps you there.
Motivation comes and goes.
Yeah.
It's like the wind.
Yeah, mate, I didn't want to go do anything today. I didn't want to. I started work at 6:30, and today was one day and I got a home gym at home. I woke up at 4:00. You know, I had my coffee, didn't want to do nothing, didn't want to go to the gym, and I was like, oh, you know what? I'll just walk out into the home gym, and I'll just throw a few weights around. Next minute, I run a 20-minute session. You know, so I didn't want to do it at all. No.
But the discipline comes first.
Yeah.
Once you get into it, the motivation might come.
Motivation comes after it,
Yeah.
Then you start talking to yourself, I don't know, I love it. I'm loving it. I'm here.
Where does your discipline come from, mate?
I was more disciplined in jail, obviously, than I ever was out here. But I think discipline, I'm doing it again now. So discipline comes from, it's like, someone once told me, like, your mind is like a muscle. You have to work on it in small pieces to build that discipline. Do you know what I mean? So I remember in jail, when I was in jail, we were doing month tasks, like, you know, not cutting my hair for a month, not shaving next month, not shaving my beard for a month, or no sugar, you know, the small things, and then gradually building that discipline. That's like, I was never one to be like, I'm going to do this and that. I had to build that up slowly, do you know, like, yeah. I'm still working on it.
There's a guy that does a podcast. He's a neuroscientist, Andrew Huberman, and they've discovered that there is a part of your brain which controls willpower, and that you can build that part of your brain.
Yeah.
And you can only build that part of your brain by doing something that you don't want to do.
Yeah. And I think I've heard this sort of similar thing, and they're talking about it's actually that creates longevity as well, because your body and your mind are fighting to survive still. Like, you know, they want to live longer.
What's happening in your brain when you're faced with a challenge and you don't want to do this? This is like your sport. You're getting it. You go, all right, I know I've got this training session. It's the middle of winter. It's 2 degrees that morning.
Yeah.
Is it self-talk?
You know what? Self-talk. But then sometimes it's self-talk. Self-talk's a big battle, 100%. But then I'll give it, surrounding yourself with the right people as well. You know, that's one of my key things. Sometimes I find it hard, you know, I'm a motivator at the gym. I'm a motivator at work. But then I've got a couple good mates. You know, one friend of mine especially, I train with, I've known him for years on end. We train together most days, we're around each other. And he's an animal as well, every day, same thing. So me and him have this little thing that's like a bit of a competition. We always had competition. It's like you're a brother, you know. Everything's a competition.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what it is.
Good, healthy competition. Yeah.
Everything. So, you know, me and him and at Cadell, I remember going to Cadell when we seen it, because we were friends before jail. We've seen each other in jail. And then when I got to Cadell, he was in Cadell, and you know, he was steering, we were hanging around different people in a different path. And then I'd sort of come back into his thing, and it was like, we're training at 5 a.m. I was the one that got it going. And then the tables would start, and then it started to be a competition. He was awake before me. Now we've got this thing, and now and it's got, and even now it still continues. And now if he gets to the gym car park before me, I've got my park, he's got his park. Both I'm on the, and if he gets to the car park before me, he'll send me something like a meme or something like,
I'll beat you.
Yeah, like or something.
Where
like,
are you?
The king is here or something like that. You know, you know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'll send him on like, sorry, like the champ is here. The champ is here. You know, it's always, everything's a competition. So having the right people around as well, you know, massively.
If you've got good people that you really respect, you're held accountable by doing things with those
100%, yeah.
Mate, I've got a description here of 8 core elements, which they say are building blocks, I guess, of resilience.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, all of these are probably applicable in sport as well as other areas of life like work or family life. So I was thinking maybe we'll go through these and you could give me an example of how you use one in sport and then how you use that in your everyday life.
All right.
Self-awareness.
Say if it's a movement, perfecting that movement, watching yourself do that movement. Self-awareness, progression is from self-awareness, I think, You don't know if you're getting better if you're not aware of how you were prior to that, So that's one thing in there. And self-awareness in life, understanding yourself and how you're coming across and obviously my partner's, I'm a bit more full on. My partner's a lot more calmer than me. She likes, she's a very down to earth girl. She's very kind and everything. So having her around me makes me self-aware of bringing it back down to reality sometimes.
So you're realising how you're affecting other people.
That's right. Yeah.
What about vision?
Vision is obviously the next play, isn't it? The next play, the ball. Where's the ball going? Where's this guy moving if it's boxing? And vision in life is, where am I going? What's the next play for me? Both really relate with each other massively, like looking forward and trying to progress, trying to be there or aim for things to be in that position and be there when it happens.
How do you think determination is involved?
The best that you want out of yourself and where you can see yourself, I guess, and what you're willing to do to get there.
I think that hits the nail on the head, yeah. What am I willing to do?
Yeah.
It's turning up to training.
Showing up all the time, putting your best effort in, with life, it is the same thing as well, every day. Like it or not, get up, do what you got to do for your family, for your, it's determination, what you want for the best. If you want the best for your family and your friends, you got to put the work in.
And you really got to have a goal.
Short-term goal, long-term goal, all of them. Achievable goal, realistic goal.
What about confidence?
Oh, confidence is massive, man. Even I find one of the key points that I point to, if I get a new trainer that we're trying to train up, the first thing what I would like is confidence. You can't, I don't know, I'm a bit confidence. If you don't know it, act like you know it, Make it sound like you know what's going on because people are paying to listen to you. So you would want to at least sell the fact that you know what you're talking about. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely, if you're leading a class.
100%. Yeah. Exactly right.
If you rock up and the guy's like, oh.
Yeah, and it gets hard. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it gets hard because it is. It's fear, like you said, it's fear. We spoke about before, fear of talking in front of people when it's not hard for anyone. But confidence, you're not going to get it straight away, but try your best. You know what I mean? Try and sell it.
And what about in other areas of life?
Oh, mate, I'll never... Someone asked me if I can do something, man. I'm 100% yes. I'm a yes man. I'm a yes man. I'll take on anything.
Of course I can do this.
Yeah, I've never... I've done it plenty of times. I'm a 100% yes man, yeah.
I mean, I guess that confidence, like you said, with public speaking, putting yourself out there, overcoming the fear of public speaking and going, you know what, I'm just going to do this.
Do it, yeah.
And that's showing courage as well to overcome the fear.
Of course.
And you have to have fear to show courage.
Yeah.
If there's no fear there, you're not courageous.
You're not courageous at all, 100%.
No. Organisation.
Yeah, I find that is a massive key thing. Organisation is, I'm only just starting to get, as I'm getting older, I'm becoming more organised and I'm becoming more pedantic with how my things, are set out. Organisation is a massive key for if it's sports, organisation, your training days, your recovery days, your food prep, all that, or if you work, scheduling appointments, at what time, all day is on the phone for me. So organisation is a massive thing.
A lot of structure.
Nothing worse for me than having a day wasted. I feel like my day's wasted if I don't wake up at 4 o'clock and go train. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I'm one step behind already now.
Mate, if I was living your lifestyle, I would dread losing half an hour.
Oh, man, I do.
There's a lot going on. Problem solving.
A massive thing, man. One thing that I can relate to that is my partner will, you know, she'll say there's a problem, and I'll always come up with a solution with it. She just don't want. She don't want to solve the problem. She just wants to talk about the problem. She's not. She don't want to solve it. She just wants to discuss it and, you know, vent about it. And I'm like, well, let's just put this and this and that. You know.
What you're saying is you're an action solver,
Yeah.
and she's a speaking solver.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
Like to
definitely two difference. Yeah.
talk all around it to get all the options.
Yeah.
You're like, let's do it. And if
Yeah.
it doesn't work, we'll fix it.
Fix it. Yeah, fix it after. 100%.
We think of a problem in soccer that, you know, you get out on the soccer field, you've got a set play, you've been training with a play, it's clearly not working, you're 2-0 down in the first half.
Yeah. Well, you have to switch up your angles. You know, if they got a strong, someone's got a strong attacking side, put more in your defense. Do you know what I mean? Like, have to be more defensively strong, structure that. You know, there's heaps of different ways about that. Problem solving in a boxing match would be, you know, if someone's come at you with a different approach than what you thought, come at you hard and fast, and then you have to stop and stick back a little bit and, you know, keep them away, keep distance or something like that, you know.
Adapt.
One person said to me, if you don't adapt, if you're not adapting, you're going backwards. Like, you have to adapt constantly, yeah.
What about interaction with people?
You know, interactions, there's one thing I'm probably still trying to work on for myself. Like, I'm a very, my interactions are minimal. Do you know what I mean? Like, with random, but in jail, that's one thing I realized about jail, that I was interacting with people that I generally wouldn't on a regular basis. And one thing that probably keeps me interacting with people now in the sports industry, like mine, is obviously people sign up, people members, you're training with different people. So I'm interacting with other people. With the life situation, I probably could do, like with my sports and that at the fitness industry, I'll probably do all right in there. But with life in general, I probably could do a little bit better with my interactions. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I guess prison is a good example. You know, you need tolerance to get through prison. And you really learn tolerance. Or you do your head in.
That's right.
So many different people in prison, all walks of life.
Yeah, all walks, That's one thing I really noticed about prison is interacting with different people,
Mate, and what about relationships? Relationships in sport, relationships in your life?
Yeah, well, relationships in sports, obviously, you're playing with different people. You know, good relationships can happen as in small competitive relationships during your sports, which turn into long relationships as friends as well, external from sports. You know, like there's people that I've been training or trained with that I've become friends with. Some of my friends are from places that I've trained, you know.
Especially in team sports.
Yeah, especially in team
Soccer.
sports. Yeah.
If you're not gelling with your team.
Well, very, very true. And I was playing soccer. I was playing soccer this year, and I didn't really gel with it. I went to a new club. I didn't really gel with the new club. A bit of younger lads, you know, like not really my scene. And I didn't really gel with the team this year. Last year, I had a good team, young lads, all from the same sort of area that I was from. Grew up in the same sort of similar backgrounds. Gelled perfectly with them, you know, and become friends with a lot of them.
This is all, the end, I guess. I haven't really got any more questions except where to from here?
Above and beyond. I shoot for the stars and aim for the moon. You know, I'm trying the best I can. I'll keep trying. You know, I'm going to keep trying new things. I'm going to keep doing the old things, and hopefully one day something progresses for me in the way I want. If not, I'm still happy with the direction I'm going, and I'm just trying to make something good for my kid. That's it, really. Yeah.
Focus on the family.
Family and family is a massive thing at the moment. You know, a couple more kids maybe. Hopefully, propose to my missus eventually.
Maybe a wedding.
Yeah, you know, if she's lucky enough, or if I'm lucky enough.
Mate, it has been awesome talking to you. Your progress from prison is inspiring. I've learned a lot really about what makes you tick today. I think discipline obviously plays a huge role in your life. Structure is crucial, particularly in the busy lifestyle you got with your work commitments and family commitments. But I think one of the most important things you raised was the idea of building up discipline, building up resilience. You know, I think there's no doubt to get to the mindset that you got, that this doesn't happen overnight. it takes commitment, long-term commitment and hard work. I really think, you're an inspiration and a good example to people that are looking to achieve in life and move on from some sort of adversity. So, mate, I really thank you for your time.
Just appreciate you bringing me on this podcast. I know it's only a first one for you, and I'm really proud of what you're doing with it, and good to see you pushing yourself in the direction that you want to go in life, and it's been a pleasure. Yeah.
I appreciate you being here. It's been a pleasure chatting. So,
Come on now.